Welcome to the show right here at Third Phase of Moon.
Thanks again, Blake. And, I just got to reinforce for all the listeners out there, Third Phase of Moon is all about getting the public information about the public, because the mainstream media doesn't do their job. You guys and the whole Third Phase of Moon team is. And what happened in this particular situation, one of the Third Phase of Moon viewers left us a message in the comments. And if all the listeners out there don't know, Third Phase of Moon, Blake, Brant Cousins, and I pay attention to those, and we respond to them. And through them, we have found this one caller who's calling in from area code 347. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
He prefers to stay anonymous, and he's got an amazing story to tell. It all began with him leaving a comment. And Anonymous, go ahead and take it. You tell us why you contacted Third Phase of Moon and what's happening to you.
Well, I contacted you because of the seriousness of my experiences, and because I believe it would be of some use to your listeners and to yourself.
Can you go to the...
Anonymous, welcome to the show. This is Cousins. You made contact to us. We forwarded your comments to Dr. Dan Elias, and now we're here live. Go ahead and tell us your story and your first contact with alien extraterrestrials.
Okay. Well, my first contact with extraterrestrials occurred as a child, but they were done in such a covert and hidden manner that if you weren't already, aware of the phenomenon and had some background on it, you'd have no idea what was occurring. And of course, I was just a child, but I saw in my room on frequent occasions what are described as the shadow people. So they would enter my room and walk around, and I always assumed, even in my bed, that this was some sort of scare tactic, because the name of the game was always fear. They sometimes appear as spiders, sometimes like shadowy spiders on the wall, but the intent was always to scare me. But this was sort of a short-lived as a child, and I had no idea that this was going to explode into what it's become. 2 years prior to now, I started seeing like an amorphous light ships, I guess you would call them, in the sky near my home on a monthly basis, and it appeared as though it was predatory in nature. It appeared like they were stalking me on a regular basis, and when they were, I'd occasionally hear like an auditory command telling me that we don't like what you're doing. It started like that, and they would also, of course, they would apply microwave technologies against me, and it would cause severe burning and agony. But that too was also sort of haphazard now and then. But shortly after that, they made a huge appearance near the downtown of my city over a cloud. It was a metal craft. It was absolutely enormous in plain sight. The fact that nobody else saw it absolutely blew my mind, because it was right there for anyone to see. Didn't have a camera, had nothing with me, and they were blasting me with I thought I was going to die. They were blasting me with microwave assaults, auditory commands. I got in my car, went to the hospital. I was absolutely hysterical. They had to ice my head. I thought they were going to kill me using whatever it was they were doing, but eventually they backed off. And what I've come to realize is that they're not actually allowed to kill me themselves. But since then, after that attack in the hospital, they've been making almost every night. They make a nightly appearance in the middle of the night. There's usually 3 of them. I've seen them as illuminated, humanoid forms, like in the light form. I've seen them in person, actual greys in person, like a physical grey, and reptilians as well. They choke me. They are commanding me in person to end my life. And I'm also at times feel as though I'm being sexually violated. I'll let you use your imagination as to what it feels like they're doing to me. And this is in conjunction with microwave attacks and auditory commands. The auditory commands are haphazard throughout the day. Usually when I'm isolated and alone, they're telling me to end my life. They're telling me we don't want competition. They're telling me we don't want you here. And the microwave attacks are almost all day long. And I've seen my family doctor. He's told me I've suffered severe nerve damage. He says it's probably in my spinal cord, and it's definitely in my scalp. But that's the extent of what he had to say. He doesn't know what's causing it. I know what's causing it, but there's not much he can do other than painkillers.
Anonymous.
So in short, yeah.
Let me ask you this, Anonymous.
I'd like to throw in.
Wait,
We had Kathleen Martin on a couple weeks ago on the Third Phase of Moon radio show, and she was talking about these beings feeding off negative emotions, and it makes sense because what Anonymous caller is talking about, Kathleen Martin spoke about weeks ago. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm feeling from this. I'm feeling like any sort of ruse or any of these sham medical procedures are just that. They're cons. Nobody needs to be awake while they're removing an eyeball or extracting semen. None of that requires the victim to be awake. The whole name of the game is fear, because they're energy harvesters. They're feeding off the bioelectric field of the person while they're doing it. I strongly believe that that's all their intentions are. They're just feeding off of people. They're attempting to kill me. I mean, last week they bombarded me with microwaves all day long. I thought, like, they bring me to the brink where I feel as though they're actually going to finish me off, and then they stop, because I've actually lost consciousness a few times. I've experienced what I felt like were seizures. They've induced heart attack-like symptoms. I've woken up and they sped my heart up to the point where I felt like I was just I'm finished. It's over, and then they back off slowly. So we're dealing with sadism on a level that I can't even put into words. Like, there's no bottom to these people, to these monsters. There's no bottom. And I feel this is important to get out, because I feel this relates to the electromagnetic harassment, because this fits under that umbrella. So people are really obsessed with, the government, and the government may well have something to do with it. I don't know. And I'm sure that there are roaming groups out there who have something to do with it. They have access to technology. They're going around and abusing people. That may also be. But I want people to understand that a huge majority of this is almost without any doubt ET in nature. And they're using they use any program they can, any fear program they can, to convince people that it's something else. That the people will start thinking it's the car insurance guy. They'll start thinking it's the milkman. They'll start thinking it's people at work who dislike them. They'll use any paranoid fear program they can against the person to make them think it's anything else, while they're conducting an extermination campaign, because they've driven people to suicide. They've already killed people. So I just want people to, red alert here, because I want people to realize that there's no question about it. And they're telling me they don't want people here with willpower. They don't want people here like myself. They don't want people they've talked about psychic abilities, all this. They don't want any competition. So they're literally killing people while spreading Space Brothers messages to other people. So this is some sort of misdirection, confusion, distraction con they're playing on everybody. So I just hope this is sort of a wake-up call, because I'm lucky to be alive. They tried to kill me while I was driving my car. They jerked my hand. I can't drive anymore. I mean, I can't do anything anymore. I can only walk for a few minutes at a time. They were harassing me. I've had intestinal bleeding. I've had bleeding in my feces. They've come, prior to this, all of this, they even came to me early on in sort of a spectral form, and they started saying, they started insulting me. They're saying, you were such an idiot. We don't like the course that you're taking. Like, it's like this was all pre-planned. Like, they had this plan, and they implemented it on me at birth as a child. And now it's all come full circle, and now they're trying to bump me off. And they're doing a pretty good job of it.
It sounds like you've had quite the experience, and it doesn't sound very fun by any means, and it sounds like you're really wanting to get the word out. People are calling into Third Phase of Moon. Yeah. They may have questions for you. They may have questions for Third Phase. The switchboard's still continuously lighting up. We're going to be taking callers here just in a minute.
Great.
If you have a question for Third Phase of Moon, 347-934-0378 is the number to call in. And we're going to go to our next caller, area code 604. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon.
Hi there. How you doing?
Doing good. Where are you calling from, and have you had a UFO experience, or do you have a question for the panel at the moment?
Yeah. My name is Dawson Lewis. I'm just from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada here. And probably, I don't know, for the last summer and all this summer, the UFO activity up here has been quite active. At least I'd say twice a night. There's anywhere from 3 to 4 UFO sightings. It's pretty much nonstop. And I also just kind of wanted to make a comment. I've been listening to you guys for quite a while now, and I always hear you guys have guests on talking about, anti-gravity propulsion systems and stuff on craft like that, and if it exists. Well, just to all the listeners out there, and maybe you guys, if you've never seen it before, watch a documentary video called The $1 Billion Secret, and you will hear employees from Lockheed Skunk Works talking about how they figured out and developed these type of engines. And it's like an aviator journalist documentary. Just thought everybody would like to check that out, get some answers to what's going on out here.
Certainly the British Columbia, Canada is a hot spot right now for UFO activity. We receive videos from there at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, and we're showcasing it right there on Third Phase of Moon. My brother's right here. He has a comment in regards to the BC sightings going on. You mentioned that you've pretty much on a nightly basis, you see lights over your night skies over there. Do you have a camera yourself, and have you captured any of these on film?
Well, what I want to, I'm actually active. I'm taking notes and stuff like that. And unfortunately, right now, all I have is my iPhone. But I'm looking into getting a camcorder hopefully in the next week or so. Probably pick one up at a pawn shop or something like that, and hopefully I can start getting these videos and start sending them to you guys to your site and stuff. Right?
Excellent. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to go on the radio show and just let you guys know that it's very active out here. There is, as far as I know, there are no researchers out here except for one who lives in northern BC. Serious researcher. I think it's the UFO BC Society or something like that. Other than that, there really, from what I know, there isn't anyone out here. So I want to start getting heavily into the research and trying to support everybody out there and find out the truth.
We're with you, man. We're with you. You're at the right place, Third Phase of Moon. It's a worldwide community that we're going to get the word out. That's what we do here. Dr. J. Andy Elias, any opinion on what's been going on over BC? I know you've seen a lot of videos right here at Third Phase of Moon in regards to that exact location.
Blake, as Third Phase of Moon is always on the lookout for videos, I've been obviously paying attention to what's going around. And it seems to me that there just seems to be an explosion of activity. I mean, we're hearing things in North Carolina on a daily basis. We're hearing now this BC, Hawaii. There was a recent LA sighting. It's going on around the world. It seems like they're getting ready for something. That's what I'm wondering what's going to happen, because there just seem to be coming in a higher rate. And MUFON even reported a higher jump in sightings in this last month.
A lot of these, this huge increase, believe it or not, it actually started about October 17th of 2010. And it just increased and increased and increased and increased after that. A lot of the word on the internet, whether you want to believe some of these things that say they're actually speaking, through other people, they say they've been trying to force the news medias around the planet to start covering them. They're trying to force an official first contact, but they're being stopped.
We're not stopping here right here at Third Phase of Moon. We're going to continue getting the word out and taking calls from around the world. We're going to go to our next caller, area code 619. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Have you had a UFO experience yourself, or do you have a question for the panel or Third Phase of Moon?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
619.
Yeah, my name is Hector. I'm a teenager, and I'm a really big fan of your channel, and I needed to get a word out.
Hey, appreciate it, man. We're trying to get the word out. Our fans that come on Phase of Moon, YouTube, comment, leave, comments, have their opinions, share their thoughts. Appreciate it.
I've been having some experiences that have really had my attention my last two years. can't control myself. I've been having these nightmares. I try to. I don't know, but when I was a little child,
this
little
experience could have, major dramatic, impressions on people that stick with them for the rest of their lives. I know Anonymous is on the phone right now. Anonymous, can you kind of feel sympathy the way this, kid's feeling? Do you have any advice for him?
Oh, I have more than sympathy. I have sympathy and all the empathy I could possibly have. These monsters, there's no bottom to them. There's no bottom. They don't feel empathy. They don't feel anything that's even close to what we would regard as human. So it's hard to actually understand them coming from our paradigm, from our consciousness, because we don't have anything in common with them other than that we have 2 eyes, 2 arms, and 2 legs. I mean, what I'm gathering from this is that I've heard that they come from a paradigm that's a totally negative charge. So there's no love. There's nothing even close to what we would call humanity or civility or compassion. There's nothing at all. It's foreign in every way, shape, and form, and they're here to cause us to suffer in ways that are beyond comprehension. That's why they're here. They're here to feed off of us. They're parasites. They regard us as cattle. So for your caller, I would say my recommendation would be to stay close to your family, stay close to your friends, maybe seek the help of a sympathetic ear from a counselor, from somebody. Maybe seek out a group of people, a network of people who are experiencing a similar situation, and do all you can to resist what they're doing to you. Just garner all the will you have, anything you have in your basket, and just put it all together and just be as strong as possible. That's all I can say. And family is key. Friends are key. Without that, we're really lost. We need that. While enduring something like this.
It helps block them, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because you see, what these monsters are doing is, for people like myself and others who I personally believe I'm a relatively strong person, or otherwise I wouldn't be alive. So what they're doing to people who they see as a competition for themselves now or in the future, or who are waking other people up and whatnot, they're applying pain. Because if they can't scare you through other means, they're just going to take the brute force pain alley here, course of action. So that's
I'm quite sure they're not all parasitic, but by some accounts, we've had contacts with close to 200 races. So it would not surprise me one bit at all, that someone out there, something out there hears, hey, let's go down and check these guys out. And,
Well, what I've gathered from obviously while I'm enduring this, I've had nothing to do but research it and attempt to do something with what I'm learning about it. And I'm learning that you've got the guy. There's a hierarchical system here. You've got apparently you've got the Dracos at the top, and then you have Orion Greys in service to them, and then you have the Zetas, Reticulan Greys, in service to the Orion Greys. And they all come from a fear-based paradigm. It's all fear. It's all ugliness. It's all misery. It's all violence. So they've come here because we have more life force than anyone else in the universe. So we're human livestock. We're a human resource for them. So what they lack, they take from us. They don't have souls or spirits in the sense that we have them. So what they do is they can siphon off that energy, and they can do it in an invisible spectrum. We can't even see them doing it. I mean, the skies right now could literally be absolutely, clustered with invisible ships all over the place, siphoning energy off the population. Because apparently they go to areas of intense misery. They go to hospitals. They go to war zones. They even go to sporting events. Any place where there's intense or miserable energy being emitted, they can go there, and they can apparently just siphon it up, just suck it up, just slurp it up, because that's what rejuvenates them. That's what energizes them. So yeah, they're parasites, and they're more disgusting than I think people are aware of. That's the critical key thing here, and they're manipulative. They're manipulative to the point of it's beyond really our comprehension, because we humans don't really think that way. It's totally service to self. There's absolutely they don't give anything in return. There's absolutely nothing given in return. They're pure deceit. So I don't think there's any bottom to these monsters. There's just no bottom. And that's what I just want to get across to people. And on top of that, they're killing people. So I don't know how much more serious this can get, if you see where I'm coming from.
Dr. J.N. Elias, we just finished the project, the Alien Abduction Diaries, involving alien abduction. Jacqueline, Dave, and Rachel built their guts about what's going on, what happens when they're abducted, and went into vivid detail of what's going on when they are abducted. And it's quite scary, John. You know, some of the abductions don't seem as bad as the way Anonymous is saying they're monsters. I'm not sure. There's so many other different types of alien races out there. Do you think they're all bad, John, from what we've heard and some of the information we've been getting here at Third Phase Moon? It doesn't seem like every single alien agenda is a monstrous kind of entity. What do you say, John?
You know, Blake, you hit the nail right on the head. We've had several guests, abduction specialists, Yvonne Smith, Kathleen Martin, so on and so forth. And there's good and bad everywhere on Earth, in the universe, in theology, you know, with Satan and God. And there's ETs that may have come down here and are helping people, which some of these abductees that we've showcased in this free documentary that's available for all the listeners and viewers of Third Phase of the Moon for free. Some of them are enjoying it. They started out very fearful and have blossomed to accept it. But then there's the other group of people, and Anonymous is not alone. And as we heard from another caller here, there are several people out there who are being tormented, and it very well could be different groups. Sometimes I hear it is the Draco reptilians that are the worst. Sometimes it is one form of the Greys, because apparently there's many. So I truly think there is a good and bad battle. And in the Mahabharata, I think that's what it's called, the Hindu Bible equivalent of the Bible for them, which was written 4,000 years ago, spoke about a Star Wars type event where for about 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, two different beings, sets of beings, species, were battling for control of Earth. And they were using the equivalent of nuclear weapons. Obviously, 4,000 years ago, they didn't know what a nuclear weapon was, right? But the way they described it in the Hindu Bible, many experts now believe that they were nuclear weapons because of the consistency of what goes on with a nuclear explosion. So I am definitely believing that there is both.
There's more coming into Third Phase Moon. People are still calling in, and if you have a question for Third Phase Moon, call it to 347-934-0378. We're taking calls live right now. I want to get back to Bob Evans. We spoke about some of these images from Soho, and it looks like a Star Wars action movie right out there in front of our eyes, and people are just shedding a blind eye to it. They don't want to take this seriously. Some of these images, these craft look like the size of planets themselves. The sun's a massive star, absolutely huge. What do you say there, Robert, about, you know, the Star Wars being captured on film by Soho and the main media is not picking it up?
The media will not touch them. They're told not to. There is a mass disinformation program that's been in effect since the 1980s. That's why you don't see any of the news media covering the large asteroids that came down recently a couple months ago. They're not covering the UFOs that people are actually seeing and recording. They're told not to. And that's in Canada, and that's in the United States. If you talk to anyone down in Central America, South America, over in Europe, they know all about it. The images I've been sending to you, and recently I've been copying also the original NASA Soho images and putting them both together so no one can say they're fakes. These ships are actually fighting with other ships out there. I've sent you many images where you can see this huge white beam going out to something else. So there is stuff going out there. Several years ago, you actually had images where you had like 12 of these huge orange lights lining up in the image area for the solo cameras, the two satellites, and no one talked about them. So, these things are out there. They're here on this planet. They come here every day. There are good and bad ones. Oh, God. One of the big people up there... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it okay if I just interject for just a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, I was just saying, in regards to the... I just want to say I would caution heavily against the thinking that there's some sort of battle going on in the heavens between, really good forces and bad forces, because I want to caution that these creatures, they're no dummies. I mean, they've been around forever. So it's very possible that this is because, they're extremely telepathic. They know when they're being watched. They know who's watching them. This is all pre-planned. This is all scripted. So if they're showing something to somebody, it's because it's being allowed. So they may want the observer watching it, to think that there's some sort of conflict between a bad and good force. Okay? And the other thing I want to get at here is if they are killing people, there's no question about it. So my question is, if there are benevolent races, why aren't they contacting, not all governments are bad, why don't they contact the French government, for instance, and tell them, you know what, these bad guys are killing people right now. Okay, here's what you do. Make this helmet for this guy. Make this device for this guy. This will keep him safe. Bingo, bingo, bongo. Bye. And they could put that on TV. They don't have to say it's ETs who gave them the information. They could say it's come to our awareness that people are being attacked through electromagnetic. This is a very real and present danger. This is a safe harbor for these people. Please come here, and we'll provide this for you. This would help the people who are suffering, and this would give hope to give hope to people who aren't suffering but are concerned they might encounter a problem like this, might be under in the future become assaulted by these technologies. So these aliens, good or bad, haven't even done that. They're not even contacting contactees down here and telling them that people are being killed off by these means. So this is why it throws this whole thing into question as to whether or not we're all being conned. And I really, really strongly believe we are. I think this is a complicit program between false positive groups and negative groups. I mean, we're literally just cattle. We're so inferior to them that they couldn't care less. I mean, what excuse is going to suffice to the families of people who have died? Let's say in 50 years from now, a positive group lands. They get out of their little spaceship, walk up to the family, whose brothers and daughters have just been slaughtered. What excuse or reason will suffice for not having stopped it, or even giving the most base information regarding what's happening? You see where I'm coming from?
Anonymous, you make a great point, and that's what Third Phase Moon is. Different opinions, different viewpoints on this subject matter, and, absolutely fascinated in your insight on where you think the agenda is coming from. The way you sounded, they do sound quite scary. People have different opinions. People are calling in right now at Third Phase Moon. We're going to go to a caller right now. We have somebody saying, why do they want to harm us? That's probably a question to Anonymous. Right there, straight up Anonymous. Why do they want to harm us?
Well,
this is coming
what
from hashtag Nelly66.
Are you asking me?
Yep.
Yeah. Why do they want to? Well, because the negative groups. I mean, we're an investment for them. I mean, how many worlds like ours are we have no. I mean, maybe there's a lot of worlds like ours out there. Maybe it's a very scarce resource for them. So, I mean, for them, we're a genetic resource on a purely physical genetic level. We're an energetic resource. Our bioelectric fields are, very yummy for them. They can just come down here and take what they do not have, which is life force, because they're completely dependent upon technology. I mean, we're a resource in every way, shape, and form for them. I mean, if you look at some of the Zechariah Sitchin material too, I mean, we were literally naked and in chains in the ancient past in the service of these beings. I mean, we were tolling the mines. We were a slave race. So I think they have an interest in keeping us that way because we're a resource for them. We're literally food and cattle for the negative groups. And I think what's happening here, this is some sort of ruse or con wherein the false positive groups at some point, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, will swoop in here and attempt to look like the hero to the general public when it was in their interest to come in here when we were totally beaten and battered down to the point where very few of us will question their presence here because we'll be too beaten down to do it. And a lot of people are just ignorant regarding the information. There's too much conflicting information. There's too much misdirection. We're being moved around like pieces on a chessboard. So the positive groups, when they come down here, I don't think they want any, they don't want any resistance. They don't want any anyone questioning. So this is why I think there's complicity between the two groups, because the negatives are doing an extremely superb job of setting us up for the need for a hero to come and rescue us. So when they swoop in, the question I have and what I just asked again will be, why weren't you here when my daughter or son were murdered? Why didn't you stop it while it was happening? What's the reason or excuse for that? And to me, none will suffice. Nothing will suffice. And that's why I'm saying I think there's complicity here. It works out for the positives in a way, because they want weak, independent people when they fly in, because they may also have a interest in harvesting our energy or taking people off planet. So
or the gold.
They're not going to get, yeah, exactly, or the gold, and they're not going to get people to walk on their little ships and fly away if the people aren't convinced that they're the superheroes, that they're the good guys. When a lot of the information suggests that they're working completely hand in hand, they're considered their colleagues. They're working hand in hand with these negative groups. So really, what we're looking at here is varying degrees of negativity. There's really no good here. So that's what I'm trying to,
And our leaders could be working right with them, because they could be getting stuff in return from them in the ways of technology, anything.
Yeah, that's very possible. But I'm the kind of guy who almost, I also believe the government, there's definitely, there's no question there's bad apples there. But I also think that they've become a boogeyman in a way, too. They've become the boogeyman. Because, in some ways, because, these ETs obviously, their mind-controlled, technologies are, needless to say, are superb. I'm sure with the press of a button, they could make anyone say anything they want them to say. So it's pretty hard to stop that kind of force through sheer willpower, especially when you're dealing with government-fit people who may or may not have very much willpower to begin with, because they're in there for all the wrong reasons. So I'm not quick to blame the government. I'm actually quick to blame the ETs, because let's face it, we're up against a superior power. We really have very little to in terms of defense against it.
The Vatican back in 55 on was in complete contact with these ETs. They had secret meetings with them along with the U.S. government. It was all leaked back in 2005 to an Italian reporter, which talked all about it over there, Luca Stantenberlo. He put it all out in writing, everything the Vatican knew and how much they were working with the ETs. And they're still working with the ETs. And the other government officials in other governments around this planet are also working with them.
Yeah, well, that goes back to some of these books regarding the, purported acts in the past that there's a book called Gods of Eden, I'm sure you've already read it, that, explicitly details the fact that ETs were manipulating the religions throughout history to pit man against man. the whole purpose of them being here was to weaken us. They don't want us unified. So, of course, religion is the perfect, force to do that. Because, it's a very divisive force. So they want people fractured, weakened, and the less unified we are, the more vulnerable we are. So I'm thinking the only chance we have here, the only defense we have here is that they don't seem to be allowed to kill us. They drive us to suicide. That's what they're doing with these electromagnetic attacks. Very rarely, I'm pretty sure very rarely are they actually just coming down here, blasting someone to pieces. I'm sure they do. I'm sure someone with the more negative factions, but they're driving people to suicide. That's what they do. But I'm thinking the only way to get rid of these bastards is if masses of people ask all of them to go, like some sort of mass consciousness network of people, some initiative with masses of people asking, the good, bad, and the ugly all leave. That's what I'm thinking the only way to get rid of them. I think that would be a start. Because that's all we have is our consciousness. We don't have any other weapon.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you, Anonymous, is how do we stop this? And now you just answered it, and that seems quite the challenge, to get everybody together as one in this world, the way we are all separated with all these opinions. And people are calling in right now, but with more opinions, and we're going to get to area code, somebody calling in here. And then Dr. Jandy Elias, I'm sure he has some questions for Anonymous as well. But, wow, to accomplish that, for the whole world to come in as one, then an event would have to happen, I would think, to create that.
Yeah.
So,
all roads are blocked right now.
Pardon me?
It seems like. Sorry, no. I was just saying it has right now. The reality has the appearances of being completely shut off from any sort of attempt like this because they're in control. You see, they're manipulating people behind the scenes with subtle from either extremely brutal and severe mind control assaults to very subtle ones. And I'm sure they're influencing people in positions of power to prevent anything like that from occurring. That's why we're dependent on great programs like yours to get the message out there. Otherwise, we'd have no venue to do it. We'd be totally lost.
The venue's here. It's up and running. We're going to keep on running. We're not afraid of the main media corporates. We're going to keep this show, Third Phase of Moon, on air and on Third Phase of Moon. Dr. Jandy Elias, any questions for Anonymous? And then we're going to go to the next caller.
Yeah, Anonymous, you were able to find Third Phase of Moon because you've been watching about UFOs, and you were able to connect with other people. You talked off air about a group that you've been able to get some support and about somebody else that's known about this phenomenon is trying to get it out there. What kind of support structure outside of your family have you been able to find? And what we're hoping here is that by you telling the story to the world, more people are going to come forward and talk about this. But go ahead and tell everybody, what's your support?
Yeah, well, for anybody suffering from a combination of alien abduction and electromagnetic harassment, that means mind control, synthetic telepathy assaults where you're getting vocal commands to do this and that. A lot of it's miscellaneous nonsense mixed with malicious commands. I would advise them to contact like a local electromagnetic harassment network, which you could find through the internet, of course, which is obviously always the last bastion of information. Not the last bastion. That's the first place you would go to. So I would go online, look for any sort of local network related to electromagnetic harassment, call them and tell them what's happening to you. If you fit into a niche like mine where you're getting the abductions and the electromagnetic harassment, I guess it's kind of, you can do both. There's also local abductee resource groups that also look that up. That's what I've done while this is happening to me. I've done both. Something more significant than what we're seeing right now.
We're getting a caller right here. We got a few minutes left on Third Phase, area code 404. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon.
Hello, Mom.
Hello.
Yeah, my name is Jamal.
Yes, you're on.
Yeah, my name is
Hello,
Jamal.
area code 4. Welcome to Third Phase.
I'm from Compton. I saw the most craziest shit. I'm telling you, man. This is the most craziest shit happened to me. All right, I just came home. I got some KFC. No, I'm being serious. This is some dead serious shit, all right? Bear with me on this shit, all right? Bear with me.
We got a couple minutes. Go ahead. Keep it short.
Yeah, my name is Jamal. I'm from Compton. Pretty much, I just went to sleep. I don't know. There was just some weird shit going on, you know? Like, it was just a weird feeling. Just some dude came in my house and stole my KFC and shit. He took me to like a spaceship of some sort. Some shit. It was crazy. Like I don't know. It was just crazy. It was like a white room. All kinds. I could see my bucket of chicken like right there. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Can you explain this?
Blake, I can.
Go ahead, John.
White room.
Los Angeles correspondent. Go ahead, John. We got a few minutes left. Compton, California.
That white room that all the abductees speak about, Blake, is that light room where they do the medical procedures. And I just wanted to throw that in because that's very, very consistent with what all the abductions say.
Certainly. Dr. J. Andy Elias, we're going to have to get going. Unfortunately, the hour went by very quickly right here at Third Phase of Moon. Any last words? I hear we have a contest going right here at Third Phase of Moon coming up for everybody from around the world.
That's right, Blake. We have an exclusive contest right here for Third Phase of Moon. There is a big event called Contact in the Desert, and we are giving away 2 tickets a week valued at $700. 2 tickets a week, announce the winners at the Thursday show, and basically everyone has to just go on contactinthedesert.net/Third Phase of Moon, enter in, and it's an amazing lineup. Everybody from George Norrie, Dr. Greer, Dr. Lear, Travis Walton, you name it's going to be there. So I just want to let all the listeners out there that we have an exclusive contest, and you can win yourself a pair of tickets each week until the event comes. Just go onto that site. And by the way, we have some amazing guests coming to Third Phase of Moon Radio, Stanton Friedman and the Debunker, Jaime Masson, Nick Pope, so many more on Freedom Slips Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time. Call in number 818-923-1713.
Thanks a lot, Dr. J. Andy Elias. Robert Evans, any last words? 30 seconds. Go for it.
No, there's just so much going on now, as your people have said, between the weather, earthquakes, different things happening. The ETs are here. Those space probes clearly prove that. Those starships you've been looking at, I've been saying, they're all real. We're just kind of sitting in the background hoping something happens.
Well, something is happening. I think the word is getting out, and the revolution is in regards to the UFO. Disclosure will come soon. And now, again, I'm sorry, everybody, but the lines that's calling in, people calling in from 425-610, the show's over. We're going to get to everybody next time. Mr. Anonymous, 30 seconds. Any last words for the viewers from around the world on what your suggestion is to bring this all together and make things happen for the human race?
Yeah, again, the electromagnetic harassment, microwave torture program is, without a doubt, extraterrestrial in nature. Most of it, if not all of it, is extraterrestrial in nature. Some of them may be roaming groups of individuals with technology, and it may or may not be government. I don't know. But as far as the ET agenda is concerned, the only way we're going to get rid of these monsters is through awareness and consciousness. So like I said before, we need some sort of initiative going here, mass consciousness, intention, asking all of them to leave. I strongly believe that's the only way we're going to get rid of them, is through letting them realize we're all aware they're here and telling them to leave. That's the only way, I strongly believe, the only way we're going to stop them. And we have to start looking out for each other.
Thanks a lot, Anonymous.
Looking out for each other. Thank you.
Appreciate it,
so much.
Anonymous. Thank you so much. Dr. J. Andy Elias, thanks for being right here at Third Phase of Moon. Angel Love right here on Flash Chat. Everybody from around the world that tuned into Third Phase of Moon, if you've captured anything amazing, send it to Third Phase of Moon via Skype or Facebook. My name is Blake Cousins, and we'll see everybody again next time.